Everyone, I wanted to make a bit of a different video here besides the usual shorts and clip montages. I wanted to do a tier list of the agents in Valorant. This is for episode 5, act 2. We're having champions going on right now, so we haven't had any major updates in the last month or so, and probably won't have any for the next month, so the meta is going to stay the way it is for the most part, as it is right now. So I wanted to go through, give my thoughts on all the agents, who's broken, who's good, who's bad. So S tier is going to be the broken agents, and then A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, so on. Really only think there's one broken agent right now that needs to be changed a little bit, and I'm sure most people know who that is, and that's going to be Chamber. He's been nerfed twice now, I believe. One time for his trips. Now they raised the price on all his util. They nerfed the leg shot for his op as well, but I don't think it's enough yet. I think Riot's been going around the nerfs incorrectly. I think his trip needed to be nerfed a little bit, but really the big issue I think is his ult. His ult's just too oppressive right now. The fact that he could shoot 5 bullets so quickly, it shoots so fast, and you could take out your team, in a matter of seconds on an eco round, no less. It's kind of crazy. So I think what they have to do with Chamber is nerf the op. I think Riot has this philosophy where since it's an ult, it has to be better than the normal op in the game. I feel like since you get it for free, 4 or 5 times in a game, I don't think it should be as good as the op. I don't think it should be better than the op either. So I think like a good balance would be maybe nerfing the number of shots he has on the op, as well as changing how quickly he can fire them. Because I think it's a little ridiculous how quickly he can shoot. Before you can't even trade Chamber most of the time because of how fast his op shoots. It's kind of like the golden gun in Spike Rush at this point, except even that one you have to reload. So I think Chamber's the only really broken agent, so I'm going to keep him in S tier. I think he's by far the best by quite a wide margin. And now for the rest of these, we'll just go in order of what they have down here, and we'll go through and rank them. So I think Breach is very solid. We'll put him in B for Breach. I think he's one of the worst initiators, but I still think he's a very solid pick. All the initiators are actually really good. So I think Breach belongs in the B tier. I think he's better on certain maps. I think on Fracture it's pretty much a must play pick for the most part. But I kind of want to save the A tier for agents that can be played on almost every map and should be played on almost every map. Because I don't want to. I think it's a little unfair to put like Breach in A tier if he's only really good on a handful of maps. Granted, I do think he's good overall. There's just better picks on different maps. So I think he's kind of middle of the pack, B tier. And let's move on to Brim. I think Brim is also B tier. I think he's probably higher than Breach. Again, with Brim, he's good on maps like Bind, kind of smaller maps. I think he's okay on Pearl as well. But on a lot of maps, you got to run Viper, like Breeze. Some maps, you got to run Omen's a little bit better. So it really depends on the map, I think. Like Viper, you kind of need Viper on Icebox as well. While Brimstone, I feel like he's a nice alternative on some maps. On some maps, he's just not really as good as the other controllers. That's kind of the hard thing with ranking the controllers, is that they excel on different maps, and some of them have really, really good maps where there must plays on them. And then there's other maps where you just can't run them at all. You have to run someone else. So for that reason, we're going to put Brim in the B tier. Now Cypher, I don't think Cypher's terrible. I just think he's being overshadowed. So I think Cypher, I'm going to use the D tier for agents that need some buffs right now. I think once Chamber gets nerfed, we'll see more Cypher plays. But right now, I feel like pretty much all of his kit is done better by a different agent. In this case would be Chamber, but also kind of the other Sentinels as well. Thing is, his cam is pretty nice. There's a lot of like little cheeky spots you could put it in. I think his trips are super underpowered right now. I think they're okay, but I think just because Chambers trips are just so low skill, you could just put them wherever. You don't really have to give any thought to it, really. Um, you don't have to like position them correctly so they actually tag someone so people can't go around them because they're just there. But like Cypher trips, you gotta position them high enough, but also low enough so people can't get above or below them, can't jump over them. So I think in that case, he's a little bit less reliable than Chamber. I think Chamber is just the most reliable Sentinel right now. So I just don't see a lot of Cypher. I think he's by far the coolest looking character. I'll give him that. But from a gameplay perspective, I don't think he's as good as he should be. Now Jett, I think, is still probably the best duelist in the game. She did get some nerfs. I think it's a little arguable that her last nerf was kind of a buff where they changed her dash a little bit, because now she could prime her dash, and if she gets a kill, that counts toward her next dash. That wouldn't be the case before. So in a way, she's a little bit better now, actually. I still think she's very strong. I don't see her played as much because of Chamber, but I feel like once Chamber gets nerfed, we'll see a lot more Jets again because of the hop. So Jet's still the second best opera in the game. Her ult is still insane, especially if you know how to do. If you have a good aim and you practice it a lot and you can headshot people across the map with it, it is just absolutely filthy. So I think she's by far the best duelist. She could dash away still. She has great mobility, great smokes. She could actually counter Chamber pretty easily because she could smoke off his trips. So yeah, I think Jet is still by far the best duelist in the game. But there's another one I will put in A tier, but I won't give that away just yet. Omen, I'm gonna put right next to Brim. I actually think he's slightly worse than Brim just because he has his ult, which isn't all that useful, as well as his TPs, which I have a lot of fun using them, but they're not always the most practical. Granted, Brim does have his stimmy. I feel like Brim's ult is just so insane that I'm gonna put him right above Omen on the B tier. But yeah, Omen, solid choice. His smokes are pretty good. His ult, not that good. His flash, very good. His TPs can be useful from time to time, not always though. So I think he belongs in the B tier. Phoenix, solid C tier. He would be in D tier before, but these buffs actually have made him a lot better, I think. I don't think he's great. I think he's still the worst duelist, although it's a little bit debatable now. But his flashes, I see a lot of people playing Phoenix now. Almost every other game there's a Phoenix, and his flashes are nasty sometimes. They're very hard to dodge around corners. They're very quick now. So I think just because of that, I would bump him up to C tier, even though he was probably D tier before. Again, I see a lot of Phoenixes now. I don't think he's the best yet. Also, his change to his ult where he regains his armor, I think is super sick. So he's pretty strong now. I think he's a pretty good, decent spot. I don't think he needs any more buffs, really. I think anyone in these two tiers is pretty solid, as well as the A tier. I think pretty much all these agents right now are pretty good. Raze, I'm going to put in the B tier. I don't think Raze is great. She used to be much higher before all her nerfs. But I do think her kit's fun. I think she's a lot of fun to play. I think her showstopper, her ult, is a little bit broken at times. Broken in not in a good way, in the sense that it glitches out a lot. Sometimes it clips off of who knows what and deals 0 damage. It's not very reliable. I don't think it's a good ult anymore. It used to be very good, but nowadays it's, rarely does it get a lot of kills. Sometimes you do 120 damage with it or whatever, even though you shoot the rocket right next to someone. So overall though, her kit's still pretty good. Her boombot got nerfed a while back. Her blast packs also very good at holding space, pushing people back. So I think she's definitely around the higher B tier. I'll put her before the controllers because you need controllers, right? I don't think you necessarily need a Raze on any map, although she does excel on maps like Bind. I think Ice Block, she's pretty good as well. Sage will also go in the B tier. There's going to be a lot of people in the B tier, I think, because a lot of these agents are kind of middle of the pack. Sage, super solid pick. Again, her res is useful. Her Ice Wall, one of the best tools. She's very, very good at holding sites with all her slowing abilities, her Ice Wall, her slows, and she can heal you as well. So overall, not much more I could say about Sage. She hasn't been changed very much recently, and she's kind of middle of the pack. Sova I'm put in the A tier. He got nerfed recently for the better. He used to be in the S tier. I think I would have considered Sova to be the best agent in the game before Chamber came out. Just because he had that really long drone time. He had the double shock dares that could just insta kill you if you knew lineups. He had the recons as well that just made taking sites such a pain. Making sites such a pain to hold. I mean, it makes it much easier for you to take when you have a good Sova reconning for you. As well as his ult is just incredible at stopping post plants. Is really good when you're entering onto site too. If a Sova just starts ulting, it just creates so much chaos. So even with the nerfs now, with the reduced shock dart damage, which I think was a little bit too much, but with the drone time reduction, I think he's in a good spot now. So I think he still belongs in the A tier, although probably near the bottom of the A tier. Next up, we have Viper. I'm actually going to put her in the A tier. I think Viper is overall the best controller. I think you can run her pretty much on any map, unlike the other agents. She's a must pick on Breeze. I think she's a must pick on Icebox as well if you want to go B. So for that reason, I'll put her in the A tier here. I think she's super, super strong. Her ult is great too. If you ult down a bomb site, you'll hold it pretty much forever as long as you hide around it. I think her mollies are great for stalling, for post plants. Overall, she just has a really great kit. She is very hard. She's probably the hardest controller besides Astra to play, just because you got to learn some lineups. If you're going to be the sole smokes on your team and you're playing Viper, you're going to have to learn some lineups. If you want to go A on Haven, for instance, you got to know how to toss your orb into Heaven or something, or else your team's going to get screwed up there. But for now, we're going to put her in the A tier. Reina, we're gonna put. I'm debating on to put her into C tier or B tier. We're gonna put her above Phoenix in the C tier for now. But she's really on the edge here. I think the thing with Reina is most of the people playing Reina are probably gonna be Smurfs, or people that are super cocky and confident. The thing with Reina is that she's not a team player at all. If you're fragging out and dropping 30 every game, sure, go play Reina. But again, you're probably only gonna be doing that if you're playing on a Smurf account against people that are 3 or 4 tiers of ranks lower than you. So I don't know. Her flashes are okay, but the rest of her kit, it all depends on how well you're playing. Which you're not gonna be dropping 30 kills every game, like I said. So I don't know. She just seems very inconsistent. So in that regard, I'm gonna put her in C. Again, she could be in B. If you're insane, you probably consider Reina an S. Like if you're so good at the game, Reina's probably the S tier pick for you. But just on average, I think she's like a C tier agent at the moment. Also in C tier, I'd put Killjoy. Probably put her closer to the top. Again, an argument could be made to put her in B tier. Again, kind of like Cypher, the thing with Killjoy is that they're just overshadowed by Chamber so hard. I don't think she's a bad pick again. She does have her mollies, although they're really easy to shoot and they're very loud. And then really big problem with her, which she got nerfed probably more than a year ago now, where she has a little radius circle around her and she has to basically stay there, or else all her util is worthless. So in that regard, I don't think she's that strong anymore as she was. And they nerfed her turret too, if I recall correctly, from what it was about a year ago, where it tagged a lot more. So she used to be a lot more oppressive. Now I don't really see killjoys anymore. Her ult can be countered by a lot of different other ults or a bunch of different abilities too, and she just doesn't seem as threatening as she was before. So I still think she's definitely viable, but for now I'm gonna put her in the C tier. Next up we have Sky. Sky I'm actually gonna put probably at the top of the A tier for now. I think Sky is one of the best initiators. I don't think she's the best, which might be a spoiler for this video, but just overall her kit is so complete. She can heal her entire squad at once, which is completely ridiculous. She has flashes that regen, so she basically has potentially 3 or 4 flashes in a round. And then she also has her dog, which is like a Sova drone, which after the nerfs, it might be just as good or even better than the Sova drone. I don't know how long it lasts exactly. And then she also has her Seekers, which are just, not the best help, but it's still a pretty good help and very helpful when you're taking a site because it just reveals where enemies are. So for that reason alone, I mean, her kit is just amazing overall. And I still have such a hard time dealing with sky flashes sometimes. When you pop flash to her smoke, it's just so strong. So for that reason, I'm gonna keep her in the A tier. I think she's very very strong. She's definitely one of the top agents in the game right now. Yoru, I'm gonna put near the bottom of the A tier. That's the other duelist I was talking about in the A tier, and you guys might be a little surprised. Might be a little bit biased here too because I mainly play Yoru. But I think his just potential is just insane, much higher than any other agent in the game. The thing with Yoru is I think his clone alone puts him in the A tier. I think it's one of the best abilities to take a site with or take any space with. You send the clone in, you follow up behind it. Pretty much the enemy 99% of the time will have to shoot the clone because they don't know if it's real. Just toss a flash behind it or something, and you could entry into every site or anything. I think it's such a strong ability. If they actually buff him more and give him a second clone, he's just gonna be an S tier agent, I think. But besides that, his kit's really good. He has 2 flashes, both of which are very useful, and then he has 2 TPs as well, which he could fake too. His ult, you could place util now with. He could do so many different potential outplays. He could pick the bomb up with the ult. He could pick guns up with the ult. It's just so ridiculous what he could do. So just for the potential that Yoru has, he belongs in the A tier, I think. Astra, this might be a controversial pick, but I'm gonna put her in the D tier as well. Mainly because I don't think Astra's terrible or anything, but I think she's being overshadowed by all the other controllers. I don't think she's as good as any of them. I think kind of similar scenario where Cypher, where I only see maybe one Astra every 50 games or so now, and this is in Immortal, so maybe in pro play or in like team-based scrims or something, there'll be more Astros, but in ranked, she's not really the move. She's very hard to coordinate. And the other thing with her is that she did get nerfed, a couple of months ago. Maybe it was already a year ago at this point. But all her stuff is very expensive now, her stars and everything. So it's not the meta as it was before. I remember the Astra meta where you would have to just wait and bait out all her util first before you could push a slide. It was just ridiculous. So I think for now I'll put her in the D tier. Honestly, we could just delete the D tier and put these guys in the C tier because I don't think they're that bad, but I'm just gonna keep it like this for now. KO I think is high B tier. Could put him in the A tier actually. Kind of torn in between here. Um, I think I'm gonna keep it in the B tier for now because I have at least one other agent coming into the A tier, so kind of want to balance this out a little bit. I think KO is super solid. Again, argument could be made for an A tier position for him. I think his knife is good for info. His ult is very good. Just suppressing in general is so powerful to stop a push or to retake a site with. And he also has that molly that I think now could go through walls as well, 2 flashes as well. So just a very solid kid in general. So I think he's very useful to have on the team. Neon, I think one of the better duelists here. I'm not going to put her in A tier, but I'm put her right behind KO. Again, argument could be made to put both of these guys in A tier, but I think she's kind of middle of the pack for now. I got to see a little bit more gameplay with her first and play her a little bit more. This new nerf or buff, it's kind of hard to decide what it is. Basically, it kind of they changed the multipliers for her headshots with her ult and with her body shots. So it takes more body shots, but a lot less headshots now with her ult to kill. So again, if you practice a lot with her, she might be pretty good. Her ult might be pretty good. So it might actually be a bit of a buff. I think overall her kit's great though. Her stuns are incredible. They cover so much space. If you stun someone and you slide into them, dude, it's a free kill for you. So plus bonus points for her being probably the most fun agent to play. Just super fun to slide around with her. So just for that alone, I gotta put her at least in the B tier again. Arguments could be made to put her in the A tier. Finally, we have Fade, who I'm gonna actually put in front of Sky. I think Fade is so good right now. I think her prowlers are one of the best abilities. They just tank so much damage and they're so fast that you're almost always guaranteed a kill when you use them. And then also obviously she has her eye for info. She has her ult, which is deafens the whole site, which we've done some crazy combos with that in the Yoru ult, which is just a ton of fun. And it's just such a sick outplay potential with her plus other agents that she could do. Again, her grenade also applies decay, so I think she just has a really good kit and she could combo off really well, especially with her duelist. So this would be my list over here. I think for the most part, all the agents are very, very solid. Again, if we really want to, we could probably delete this, do something like that. I think that would be a little bit more fair, maybe. Um, I don't know. Because I don't think any agent is completely trash. I think every agent has potential to be played very well. So I think overall the game is in a very good state right now. You know, just nerf chamber a little bit and then adjust a little bit more based on what kind of pops up after that. I think the game is like perfectly balanced pretty much right now. And it's great. It's been a lot of fun playing this act. So let me know what you guys think about this. You agree, disagree, what your tier list look like. Thank you guys for watching. Bye bye.